Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Lease Options webinar from the Therapy Office. I'm here to get started with you guys and walk through all the options that we have available. First of all, just welcome to the Therapy Office. I wanted to create this presentation mostly because I've had a lot of people that have had questions about the virtual leases and insurance credentialing and how they can utilize the virtual lease options just for themselves when it comes to um, their practice and how this applies to them and why I created it in the first place. So, this is going to walk you through all of those answers. If you don't know who I am and you're watching this for the first time and you're just like, okay, Becca, don't know who you are. I am Becca Ferguson. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm not just some random person that started a business that was centered around therapy without knowing the business of therapy. So, this is something that I do on a daily basis. I do work with clients. And also, if you can't tell, I am a huge fan of The Office because I branded my whole entire practice off of it. So I am the founder of the Therapy Office. We are located in Springdale, Arkansas, which is very well known for Walmart, Northwest Arkansas area. I am very passionate about sustainable business growth when it comes to working with helpers, healers, and wellness professionals. And like I said, I am a licensed professional counselor, and what you see is what you get. This is me. When I'm talking here inside of this webinar, this is my personality. I'm a very much like a real life human being. This is just who I am. So let's go ahead and break down what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to make this very, very simple for you. So we're going to talk about why this space exists in the first place and why I created this, the details of the virtual lease, and then I'm going to go through some very common questions and answers that I get inside my email box or some comments that I have received when people have messaged me about the virtual lease. Okay, so let's talk about why this exists in the first place. So I had created my solo practice originally in September of 2022. And in that time period, I had noticed the struggle of starting my practice and how frustrating it was that you have to have all of the startup funds and everything if you're going to be a provider, a therapist that bills insurance, because insurance just expects you to have all the money to have a commercial address and a big building or have the money to sublet a space without seeing clients and having any income. And I find that very frustrating, just as a human in general. But when we went through COVID, there was a time period where we didn't have to do that. And so there was a lot of people that used their home addresses where they could bill insurance while using their home address and also work from home. Whether or not it's a transitional thing for you to start working at home and then eventually start seeing clients inside of a practice, or if it's something to where you want to, start like just working from home altogether. It's important to have that commercial address because since the end of 2021, they made it to where you have to have that commercial address with the ADA bathrooms and the handicap accessible entrance and all of those things. It's a huge business expense, whether or not you plan on seeing clients in person or you don't, to have a commercial address and that or that brick and mortar location, like they call it. And you know, in the beginning when you're getting credentialed, that can take 3 months at least for some panels and then not have any income. So I created this lease because I have the address, period, point blank. And I know how important it is to be able to have those lower expenses at the beginning. And it's crucial to be able to start a practice without a giant load of debt and to be able to like have some sense of peace going into your business, knowing that you can start with just a little peace of mind. I want to be able to provide that. So I'm breaking the barrier and I'm giving you a lot of things with this lease. There's a lot of therapists that don't want to use their home address publicly online. So, whether or not you need this for credentialing or not, and you just want to use it as something to help you with your privacy, that's also a solution as well when it comes to this lease. We have our NPIs, our websites, provider directories, all of those things that all ask for an address. And so that's another thing that this lease is good for. So I'm giving you that professional business address. I'm giving you a compliant building for insurance credentialing. I'm giving you that privacy protection. I'm giving you that business legitimacy online, and you don't have to take on the full cost of a full office lease. You don't have to worry about that upkeep or anything of those, anything of that nature. So, who's this designed for? So, there's a lot of different people that reach out and ask about virtual leases. I am a very organized human being. So, this is something that I have really structured to make it convenient, and it's because I think in the terms of a business owner and also a therapist. I have made this specific for helping professionals. It's not just a side gig for me. This is something that I really specifically wanted to do because I know how difficult it is to be a business owner and a therapist. So, if you're looking for a virtual lease, maybe it's because you're building your private practice while you're working for another job, or you're seeing clients from home, but you need that professional address, like we had talked about, and you're wanting to keep your overhead low. Maybe you are that stay-at-home parent and you're building that private practice in between those school drop-offs. Maybe that chronic illness, you need the flexibility of working from home, or you don't want your home address listed on the NPI website. I've designed this because our address is located in Arkansas. I have providers that are licensed inside of Arkansas and they don't physically live here. And so maybe they want to bill insurance or maybe they just need the address for privacy. So let's talk about how the virtual lease works. So first, you're going to use the therapy office as your professional business address. That's step 1. Like once you sign this lease, then this is your professional business address. You're going to update all your insurance panels and it's either updating or starting the credentialing process. Now, the therapy office is not going to do the credentialing process for you. If you're looking for someone to do credentialing for you, insurance credentialing, I 100% have some referrals for you that I'd be happy to pass along. And I also have some affiliate discounts that I would provide to you, whether or not you sign a lease or not. That's just something that I would love to do, anyways. And so, yeah, those are things that as a part of just knowing and connecting, I'd be more than happy to pass along with you. And so, updating insurance panels, directories, those credentialing applications, any business records, like I talked about, like Secretary of State, all of those things would be updated. And then step 3 is like your mail is collected and organized throughout the month. So, what this means is like I collect the mail, throughout the month, but you in step 4, it shows, like, you receive a monthly mail summary showing what's arrived at the end of the month. So if you do receive mail, then I send you an email. I have a HIPAA compliant email, and so just send you an email and I say, "Hey, you got mail this month," and then I just list off what you got in the mail. So maybe that, um, like, Ambetter loves to send letters in the mail. Loves it. And so sometimes I'll get like 10 or 20 postcards just saying like, "Hey, there's updates." And so like an email might look like, "Hey, you received, you know, 2 postcards and a letter and this," and I'll tell you who it's from. And I'll give you options and I'll say, if you want these scanned or if you want them forwarded via USPS or if you want to come pick it up in the office. If you don't want anything done with it, then they'll just be stored securely. I have a file cabinet and I put it inside like a locked file cabinet with your name on it. And for like the duration of your lease, it just goes into that file cabinet. And so once that decision has been made, you email me back and you let me know if you want it scanned. And then I open the contents of your mail, I scan it, and then you have your mail and it's good to go. If you want it forwarded via USPS, then it's shown on your lease that you are responsible for the postage. Like I'll get your receipt, I'll scan your receipt, and I will end up like sending you the invoice for the receipt plus the admin fee that I have listed inside the lease for the trip to the post office and then getting it there and all of those things and all of that. So then after that, um, yeah, you're good to go. So that is how I handle the virtual lease. You also have access to the Helpers Hub for any like forms, office updates, policies, resources, all of those things. So this is pretty intentional and organized. I try to keep it as easy as possible. And I do it once a month just because if I'm doing it like, I was starting it with weekly, and then I went to once a month, and it was, I was finding that the mail wasn't coming every single week for a lot of people, and so I didn't want people to stress out as much, and the only thing that I will do, and I have put this in, like, leases and FAQs and things of that nature, is if you get a payment in the mail, it's usually pretty obvious. I can spot it here, and so if you get a payment in the mail, I usually can spot it. I will open it and scan it immediately. And I will let you know, hey, you got a payment. And I'll give you that option about whether or not you want me to send it immediately or not. Usually, the people that I talk to want me to send it immediately just because money is money and we want money. So, and that usually will go to USPS with tracking just so you can know where it's coming from and all of those things. So that is the main thing that I will send immediately when I do receive it, just so you know that I'm not depositing checks for you. Now, if you live in town, then you can come and pick it up. But that is the main step right there. And I keep that all organized for you. So this is the Helpers Hub. You can actually see on our website that if you go down to the footer of our website, you can see a little link that says Helpers Hub, and it'll take you to this page. And you'll see different links for different pages for the different types of leases. And as a virtual leaseholder, you will get access to the Helpers Hub. It will show you all the different things that you need to know about the policies, mail dates, pickup information, has a calendar of like when Becca's going to the post office and all those different types of things. And I try and update this as much as possible. I live and breathe by my calendar. And so you can pretty much see all the different updates through that. Um, I try and keep that updated mostly because I know how it's like to, have to dig through old emails and it's just hard to keep up with stuff. So if you can just have a link that you can bookmark, then that's good to have. So I have that and you can view all that here. Okay, so now we're going to go into the details. Now, the details, this is the fun part. And I'm going to walk through pricing and things of that nature. So the virtual lease is $120 a month, and you have options for 6 up to 12 months of commitments that are available. And so you get the business address use, you get mail handling, you get monthly mail summaries via HIPAA compliant email, you get the Helpers Hub access, discounts for private practice resources, which I did not mention earlier, which is so exciting. And then you get a signed BAA for privacy. So those last two things are something that I hadn't mentioned in the step-by-step process. And I really like to point these two out. So when you sign a lease with me, I also like to work with therapists and wellness professionals with providing different resources, creating resources. I'm a very creative person. And because I understand the business ownership side of private practice and being a therapist, I often create resources along budgeting or paperwork, things of that nature, and I have a shop for those things, so I provide you a discount for that, and you get to use it for the length of your lease. I also have a BAA that we sign both ways for privacy. Because I will be opening your mail if you choose for mail scanning at any point. The BAA protects you and your business and also protects me as well in the therapy office. Um, let's say if you receive a payment, then it's going to probably have like an explanation of benefits on there with a client name. I would want you to sign a BAA so that way I can make sure that, you know, we have an agreement for privacy together. And you know that I take privacy very seriously. Privacy is very important to me. You're doing a job, and I'm doing a job, which is to keep your information safe and secure. And so that's why I have that BAA. So, we're going to talk about the commitment and how it works. So, there is a 6-month minimum commitment with a virtual lease. And the reason why I do that is because with some insurance panels, if you do plan on using insurance credentialing, you can't just, say, "Hey, I just wanna use the virtual lease for a month," because some insurance credentialing panels will take up to 3 to 4 months under one address to complete the credentialing. So, let's say that you are about to open your private practice and you want to use the therapy office address while you're trying to find a space and create a caseload, and that is 100% something that you can do. I just ask that while you do that, that you also, you know, have the 6-month minimum commitment. And it is very possible that when you're working with the therapy office, especially with credentialing, because this is something that I actually did inside of my solo practice, is I started with a virtual address, and then about like 3 months into my credentialing, I just added the address that I wanted to add that I ended up using. And so it was an easier transition. So if that's something that you want to use, then go for it. But it does give you that stability and consistency inside of your application period. And I'm also going to walk you through some other options that you can have if you are located in Northwest Arkansas. So that way you know what you can do if you want to. Let's talk about the before and after when it comes to signing the contract, because I always get these questions and I would love to answer them as best as I can. So before and after, well, let's go with before. Let's go in order. So the first thing that you're going to do, um, whenever we are working together with your contract, I will, I have all of the information on the website. And so the first thing that I want you to do, obviously, is review all of the information on the website. Watch this video. If you're this far through the video, then I'm so glad, because that means that you're super interested, at least, maybe, or you're just hypnotized by my voice. But review all the information, the pricing, and whether or not this is a fit for you. I would love for you to learn it in a way that works best for you. So please submit an interest form. That's the best way to ask or to show me that you're interested. If um, you submit that interest form, then it gets you on the track, right? And then you can also, after that, like we have a group tour options. We have some of those at least once a month. And then we also have the option for an individual consultation. With a virtual lease, it's a little bit different. So the group tours that we have for the virtual lease are virtual. So you can actually hop on to a webinar like this where I talk about these options in a live format, and then you can actually schedule, or you can actually ask your questions that you have instead of me doing the like boxed Q&As at the end. I'll have room for time for anybody to like ask questions at the end. So that is definitely an option for the group tours. And then for individual consultations, if you want to schedule a phone call, then I would be more than happy to chat with you. If you want to just say, like, I'm ready, you have so much information and I have read it all. This is something I want to do. I want to get started. Then just fill out the interest form. There's a place for you to say, like, I'm ready to get started, and you can do that. And so that would be something that is also an option. No. Or, well, after we get through all those different steps, what we'll do is I will send you a information form. Now, the information form is a little bit different than the interest form because at this point you have told me, like, I am ready and I want to go ahead and see the lease and I want to sign it. I want to like pay the first invoice and I want to get started. So, the information form will collect details about your LLC or you. And LLC or PLLC, or if you don't have the business entity set up yet, I do have some people that actually wait to set up the business entity until they get the virtual lease because they want to use the business address to set up the um, the business, which is 100% okay. And so you can actually work to um, do it in that format if you want to. So if you want to, you can just send in all the information. I have it very clear on the form of what it is that I need from you. And then after you send all that stuff in, you send in the information form. I would create your lease and your first invoice. You would pay that first invoice, you would sign that first lease, and then after that, we get your start date going. On the start date, I will actually like go through and get everything else done. So then we go into the after you sign, and on your lease start date, you will receive a welcome email with everything that you need to get started. Now, this email is very, very, very thorough. So when you get it all set up and all ready to go, then I'll give you the password to the Helpers Hub. You'll be able to see the calendar. You're going to have your recurring invoices set. Everything will be good. You're going to be able to start using the address, and everything else will be fantastic. You're going to receive your monthly mail summaries on the first Monday of each month if you received mail. And then you're going to be able to choose each month if you want the mail pickup, the forwarding, or the scanning. And then your physical mail, it will be stored and protected for the lease term. So all of this stuff is ready to go. And we're going to have it all there. Now, let's go into the benefits beyond the lease. Okay. Now, I also have other leases available at the office. So we're talking about how you can go beyond just a virtual address. So you're also going to have the ability to be a part of the therapy office ecosystem. And you're going to have access to so many different tools and resources and opportunities as your business evolves. So, if you are a virtual lease holder, then you're going to get access to discounted solo day passes and group room pricing. And then you're also going to be able to transition super easily into the flexible office options, which formerly was known as the part time office. So, and then as I mentioned before, you get a 30% standing discount on all of the resources and trainings in my shop for helpers and private practice owners. And then, as well as all the affiliate discounts that I have for platforms like Simple Practice, Google Workspace, iPlum, MailerLite, and other systems that I use in my own business. So, all of those things are there. Really, honestly, my goal is to just make it so much easier for helpers and healers to build sustainably because I know what it's like to feel like you are helping people have such a flexible lifestyle and doing everything that you can. Like people are leaving your room or your space feeling so much better, but then it feels like your business can be a dumpster fire. And so it's my goal to help you have all the tools that you need. So, what this looks like is you're not stuck in like one path forever. And you honestly have support in so many different places. So you could start with a virtual lease, and then if you want to, you could give give it a try with like a solo day pass if you wanted to. What the solo day pass looks like is you could just say, "Hey, I'm having some clients that want to come to the office every once in a while." Since you have a virtual lease and you're already in the process of credentialing with insurance, like you have access to the office for billing with insurance. The solo day pass was originally created for just people with private pay, but it's different if you already have the virtual lease. So you get a discount for the solo day pass because of that. So if you just wanna try it out, you wanna try a day or so, um, and just say like, "Oh, yeah, this is kinda nice seeing clients at the office." Or you wanna test out an idea, maybe you wanna do an intensive, or you wanna have, like, a little meeting or something like that nature, then let's do it. Like, honestly, I would love to make that happen. And then maybe the next step is to move into the recurring day pass. Now, the recurring day pass is different because there's options where you can utilize a completely furnished office for 1 or 2 days, a week, and if it's available, and you can say like, "Okay, I want it for the full day," because when we do recurring days, I don't do half days. I book it off for like the full day, and that just gives you more flexibility inside of your schedule. And I have all of that pricing available for you on the flexible office options, and that will give you the ability to work through that. And then also, I have transitioning into the full-time office. So if you are ready at some point, or it doesn't have to be that way. Like you can work in whatever direction you want to be. So maybe you want to transition to the full-time office, maybe you don't want to. But all of these options are available. The full-time office is a private space where you get to completely furnish all on your own, and it's available for a monthly rate. So the recurring day pass and the full-time office are monthly rates, the solo day pass is a daily rate, and all of those are available. If you wanted to go from the virtual lease to the recurring day pass or the full-time office, you can break your virtual lease in the middle of it and move to the recurring day pass or the full-time office. Um, and that be something that you do with no penalties at all. So that's something that I built intentionally this way. So that way you are able to have that ability to just say, like, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm ready for this. I'm ready for the next move. Okay, now we're on to questions and answers. All right. Um, when it comes to these questions, I just wanted to take some time here to ask you guys which pair is best. Do you guys know? I'm just kidding. Identity theft is not a joke. Okay, I really am funny in real life. I promise you guys. Also, can't have a presentation without an office reference somewhere. So these are some of the questions that I get inside my inbox, and I just wanted to kind of go through them and give them a little bit of credit because I know that they might still be spinning inside your head. So I know we have covered this a lot in the presentation, but I just want to say this with like every single ounce of everything that I can. Can I use this for insurance credentialing? Yes. 110%. Okay. So I often will get people that will specifically ask me if they can use it for specific insurance panels. And so um, this is always my answer to that question. The therapy office is an active business location. We operate as a therapy practice. And right now, I'm a solo practice. I have like my active NPI, and I have all of my CAQH updates, my NPI updates, like my professional directories. So the therapy office is an active therapy location. We have 2 ADA accessible bathrooms. We have all the handicap accessibility, and everything is there. Everything is updated. So the only panels that can occasionally require additional planning when it comes to the virtual lease is Medicare and Medicaid. And I would I would say that that would be the additional planning because they actually conduct the site visits. I haven't had any other insurance panels conduct site visits. And so if you're living remotely or living outside of Arkansas, we can discuss those requirements before you sign. Do I need a business license? So, no, I've actually coordinated with the city of Springdale regarding the lease structure. They said, nope, if we're doing the virtual option and they don't actually have an office space there, then you don't need a business license. So, why can't I use this address for Google Business? This is a fantastic question. So, Google actually is going to limit the number of businesses that can verify a Google Business profile at the same address. The building that we have is not just like a building, but it also has like the suite number as well. And so when I have the virtual lease, I have multiple people that are going to be using the address plus the suite number. And so it would end up being a verification issue, and then it would overload on the suite number, and then Google would flag it, and then it would end up being a whole entire thing. Trust me, I want you guys to have a successful SEO presence, which is why I am allowing you to use it for every, like most of all, like marketing presences. But when it comes to the virtual lease, it's just one of those things where this is a popular lease. And so if I had everyone using it for Google My Business, then Google would hate me and it would be a whole thing. And I don't want to get on Google's bad side. Okay. So, can a group practice or company use the virtual lease? I have gone back and forth on this several times. And um, I have finally decided to hang up the hat and say no. So, the reason why I'm saying no is although I do support many um, providers and practices and all forms and fashions and whatever they decide to do. I have made this specifically for solo practices and independent business owners. When it comes to group practices and agencies and multiple people using a lease, I could not figure out a fair pricing structure and a method that would work when it came to mail or anything that wouldn't have me essentially being like an admin for a group practice. And so I have decided that no, a group practice or a company cannot use the virtual lease. You reach out to me and you decide to disguise yourself and you are a company or like a telehealth group practice and you decide to disguise it, um, well, don't. It's just little me, and please don't do that. That would make me really, really sad. I really try and make this as flexible as possible. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I want to help as many people as possible. And I can't do that if I am running, a full practice for someone else and my full practice and, um, doing everything everywhere all the time, for, you know, not and not being compensated at the rate that is fair. How quickly can I get started? Okay, I love this question. Well, Um, I will say that once I receive a completed information form, which when we were looking at the steps, that's after the interest form and after the consultation call, and or if you choose a consultation call, like after the information is reviewed, it usually takes me about like 3 to 5 business days to prepare your lease agreement and your first invoice. So, as I have mentioned, I am a full-time therapist and I run my own business. And so, with having a full caseload and also going through all of these things, I just ask for like a little bit of patience because I do this all on my own. And until I get things up and running, then and get all this rearing and ready to go, um, I am the only one that answers my email. So sometimes it takes me a little bit. So I just ask for a little bit of patience. But after your lease is signed and your first payment is received, then on your start date that you have submitted, then you will receive that welcome letter. Okay. What if I need office space sometimes? Yeah, we had talked about the different discounts that you get for the solo day pass and the group room pricing, and how you can transition into the recurring day pass and the full-time office options. So this is totally an option. Like I said, I've built this to be very flexible. So if that's something that you want, you can have an option to write that down inside of your interest form, and I would love to chat with you about that. Okay. And then what do I need before I start a virtual lease? So, there are a few things that we put in place before you start with a virtual lease. And at minimum, I do ask that everyone has malpractice insurance. If you are a therapist, then that is just a requirement in general. And then if you're operating under an LLC, um, or if you're thinking you're going to, then a HIPAA compliant business email address. All of these things that are the startup portion of it, I do like sometimes it's hard to know all the steps. So I did make a step by step guide for this, and that is something that I always have available. And I can actually go to the next question for this one. So this is the what if I need help setting up my business? So I do know how overwhelming this is. So as far as what you need before you start your virtual lease, these kind of questions go together. So I do help business owners with this, and because this is something I'm very, very passionate about. So if you need additional support, then I also offer educational resources. I also offer templates, trainings, and business coaching. We can work on one-on-one with that. And then I have a free guide called Make It Make Sense that has a step-by-step process of different softwares that you might need, or how like what steps to go in when you're starting a business and when you need to get your business address. So if that's something that you want to do, then you can just download that for free. And the Make It Make Sense guide. So as far as this question of like, what do I need before I start my virtual lease? The professional liability insurance you can change your address on, like easy peasy lemon squeezy. But if you want to start out with just not having the right email address up front and, I'm gonna, you know, get my LLC or my PLLC later. And we can make a change in your contract and say, you know, that's something that we change later and say that it's associated with your LLC when you want to adjust your address and put that on the Secretary of State website. Those are all things that we can do and make adjustments in after it's all over. All right, so here we go. We're at the end. And if you're interested in learning more, please feel free to reach out. You can scan the QR code and it will take you back to our landing page where you can explore all the different options that we have available. You can join in on a virtual tour. You can go to our website to learn more about the therapy office. You can ask questions about our space and you can find what fits your business. So, we are honestly, genuinely just a space that allows providers just like you to grow intentionally and sustainably and at your own pace. So, please feel free to reach out. You can follow us on Instagram, and I would love to connect with you. And I will chat with you soon. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.